learned to live here on the earth. He healed the sick, he made blind men see. He let the lame walk and he set the world free. He died on a cross and he rose from the grave. He conquered sin, he is mighty to save. He went to heaven and he's coming back. God's word is true, but if it's attacked, I'll look you in the eye and say, my God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. God the Spirit, God the Father, God the Son. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1. God the Spirit, God the Father, God the Son. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1. I want the world to know about my God. I wanna live so the whole world can see that my heart has changed, I'm forgiven and new. If people need proof, may they see it in me. Let's look the world in the eye. Let's look them in the eye and say, my God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. I'm not afraid because God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. My God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. Up, down, side to side. Just another crazy day on this roller coaster ride. I try to do what's right, I end up doing wrong. Every day's another verse in my sinful song. But you pick me up with your mercy and your grace. I wanna give you all of me until I see your face. I wanna live like I've never lived, give like I've never given, run like I've never run for you. I wanna love like I've never loved, sing like I've never sung. I wanna tell the world about you. It's all for you. It's all for you. For you. For you. There is a place inside of me. I am so glad that no one else can see. Thoughts I've had, wrongs I've done. I wish I could take back every single one. You've seen my faults and you've forgiven me. The one I wish I was is the only one you see. I wanna live like I've never lived, give like I've never given, run like I've never run for you. I wanna love like I've never loved, sing like I've never sung. I wanna tell the world about you. It's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. Amazing love. How can it be that you would choose to shine your light through someone like me? I'm gonna live like I've never lived, give like I've never given, run like I've never run for you. I wanna love like I've never loved, sing like I've never sung. I wanna tell the world about you. I wanna live like I've never lived, give like I've never given, run like I've never run for you. I wanna love like I've never loved, sing like I've never sung. I wanna tell the world about you.
All right. Y'all did a great job. Okay, so we are going to go to our power verse. If you have your papers on there, you'll be able to see your papers. And it has a verse on there. It says, "For God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you." Hebrews 13:5. So on your papers, it has all of those things right there ready. Remember, because at the end, we have all of the answers that we ask on these questions at the end. So you want to be able to write these questions down. It'll help you out. All right, it's my buddy Sven and Glenn are coming to help us with the memory verse. Remember, when they say, boys, stand up, we want you to stand up. And it says, girls, we want you to stand up. And you at home, whichever one we're viewing, that one right there, whichever one we're viewing, we want you to stand up too. You know, maybe your parents can hear you at home saying the memory verse loud. I bet they would actually really enjoy that. All right, so let's go to that video.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Ben.
My name is Glenn. We're here to pop you up. Yeah.
Glenn and our power lifters.
And we're also going to teach you today's power verse. But first, a knock-knock joke.
Ooh, I love knock-knock jokes. Tell us one, Glenn.
This is a good one. You're going to like it.
Ooh, yeah.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Glenn.
Glenn who?
Glenn, me. It's your brother. I'm right here.
No, you were supposed to be telling us a knock-knock joke, Glenn.
It was? Oh, okay. Anyway, knock-knock.
Who's there?
Glenn.
Glenn. Oh, never mind. I see where this is going. Glenn, just teach us today's part of us, would you?
Okay.
Yeah.
For God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you. Hebrews 13:5.
Oh, that was a very powerful part of us, Glenn.
Yeah, it was.
But
yeah.
you know what we need?
What do we need?
We need the boys and the girls.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Stand
on
up.
the count of 3. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah, but we have to do it powerfully.
Ooh,
Yeah.
So are you ready? Here we go.
Everyone has to do shoulder rolls. Like this. I don't know.
Like shrugs, you mean?
I don't know. Anyway, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
For God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you. Hebrews 13:5. Oh, that was an amazing part of us, Glenn.
Yeah,
you all may have a seat.
Yeah, well listen, now it's time for me and my brother Sven to let you go.
Oh, yes, but until next time when we teach you another power verse, my name is Sven.
And my name is Glenn.
And we'll see you next time when we pop you up.
Hey, people! I promise.
What? Someone's talking? Who's talking out there? Who of you out there is talking? Amy's talking. She raised her hand. Patty?
Okay.
Patty? Who is Patty?
I have a smile on my face.
Oh
and
my goodness, Patty, why'd you scare me like that?
I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just happy. I put a smile on my face and a skip in my step, or my name is not Hootu Goo Goo.
Hootu, you, what? Hootu, who, woo, what? Okay, Patty, I suppose this means that you're having a great week, right?
No, I'm having a terrible, lonely week. But I don't want to be called Hootu Goo Goo, so I just skip and I smile. Didn't you hear my promise?
Promise? Well, I'm sorry you're feeling lonely, Patty, but I promise you, even when you're lonely, you feel lonely, God is with you.
I don't know. How could you be sure about something like that?
Well, it says so in the Bible. We can read it together with, if we read the Bible, it says, for God has said, I will never fail you and I will never abandon you.
Well, That's awesome. Now, wait a second. What does abandon mean?
Well, it's like when someone gives up, and leaves you, and they leaves them with no plans of returning, so that that's what it kind of means. If someone leaves and they don't want to come back, or they're not going to come back, but that's not what God is about. God will never give up on you. God will never leave you alone, ever. Ever.
All right, now you promise that the Bible says that God hasn't forgotten me.
Oh, I promise. God has a plan for each of our lives, even all of you kids out there, and you too, Patty. God is always with you. Even when the things aren't going that great, just like you were feeling today, you're tired, sad, lonely, God will never leave you alone.
Well, that is great news. I'm so glad that we talked this out. Now that I know that I'm not alone. Ha! Yippee! Ha ha ha! Yay! Hooray!
Oh, it is great news for sure. I'm glad you feel better.
Well, earlier today I was feeling so lonely. I was just sitting in my backyard and I promised Carrie and Mike and Beverly and Rachel that I was going to get a Bluetooth speaker to play our music on. By the way, do you have any recommendations for a good speaker?
Yeah, I guess I can recommend one, but wait. Who are all those people? I thought you were alone and that's why you were having a terrible week.
Oh, well, Carrie and Mike and Beverly and Rachel are all names I gave to my imaginary friends that are living in my backyard. Now, haven't you had imaginary friends before? I promise, they're great. Except sometimes Beverly and I disagree. She says chocolate-covered cherries are gross, but I love them.
Well, okay. Why don't we don't always agree with everyone. Besides, you don't have to share your chocolate-covered cherries with her since she doesn't like them.
Not true. She still wants her share. She gives them to her pet alien, Glorko, and he loves them more than I do. He does a crazy little dance for them.
Your pet alien named Glorko that eats chocolate-covered cherries, that's a good imagination you have there.
No. I didn't imagine Glorko. Beverly made him up as an imaginary pet because I wouldn't let her have a real one. If she got a real one, I'd have to take care of it for her since she isn't real. You understand?
Maybe. I think so. I don't know. I'm confused.
Oh, listen, I promise that I have the perfect remedy for that. You just do what I say, okay?
Okay.
All right. Put your left hand in. Take your left hand out. Put your left hand in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. Now you feel better?
Actually, yeah, thank you. Where did you learn that?
Well, Glorko, the imaginary pet, taught it to me. It's his chocolate-covered cherries dance. Now listen, I gotta go now. I promised that I was gonna buy some chocolate-covered cherries and dance with Glorko. I'll see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, Patty. Man, Glorko, what? Where did she come up with all of these crazy things? All right, let us see our next slide. I think it's going to be, oh, yes, what you got to know. And on your papers, it says right there, even in my lonely times, I know I am on his mind. That is on there. And what you got to know is my good friend, Big Ray. Let's see, Big Ray.
What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know?
Hey kids, I'm Big Ray, and I'm here to tell you what you gotta know. Today, we're learning about how God will never leave us alone. So every time today you hear someone ask you what you gotta know, you tell them. Even in my lonely times, I know I am on his mind. Sometimes I feel like I'm just all alone. I'm all alone. No one's here beside me. I bet everybody's forgotten about me. Nah, son, even though you feel alone, God is always there with you. God will never leave you nor abandon you. He still has huge plans for your life. So every time today you hear someone ask you what you gotta know, you tell them. Even in my lonely times, I know I am on his mind. And that right there is what you gotta know. I'm Big Ray, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
What you gotta know.
All right, that was Big Ray telling us what we got to know. You got to remember that, or at least make note of it on your paper, because later on we're going to ask you those questions. And right now, can you see? Girls are up 30-17 over the boys, so it's going to be tough for the boys to catch up. I trust that you'll be able to do it. Excuse me. All right. Now, I thought we were going to have our Bible story. No, I didn't think we were going to do our offering results. I think we're going to do our Bible story. So anyway, there we are. Today's Bible story, if you want to follow along, is found in Exodus chapter 3. Sorry about that. Now, Exodus chapter 3. Does anybody remember what happens in the book of Exodus? Anybody remember? What happens in the book of Exodus? Okay, I don't want what's on your sheet. I want to know what happens in the book of Exodus in general. What is it? I don't want to go that specific yet. The book of Exodus, what happens in the whole book of Exodus in general? What happens? That's what I want to know. The book of Exodus, which says, Exodus means like to leave. The book of Exodus is all about the children of Israel who are in bondage in Egypt and how they get out of bondage in Egypt. You guys have heard that story before. It's a big story, right? In fact, a couple weeks ago on TV, they had the movie The Ten Commandments. That's all about that story, right? Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. That is an old movie. Still kind of fun to watch. Okay, this story today is about the guy who was going to lead the children of Israel out of bondage. Anybody? You all know his name. Let's all say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. A little louder. 1, 2, 3. Moses. That's right. So it's Moses that we're going to talk about. Now, Moses was not always the leader. Moses ended up living and growing up in the Egyptian palace because his parents, specifically his mom, saved him by putting him in a basket and putting him on the river. Do you remember that when he was a baby? So he grew up in the palace. That's great. But he was kind of feeling bad about what was happening to his people who were under bondage, right? And Moses did a bad thing. Moses saw one of the Egyptian taskmasters beating one of his people. And Moses got mad, and he beat up that Egyptian taskmaster. In fact, he beat him up so bad he killed him. Now, Moses was now maybe not so wanted in the area. In fact, they knew that he had killed the Egyptian, so he fled. He left. He ran away out of Egypt, and he ran into the wilderness. He ran someplace where he was basically alone by himself. Well, okay, so
He's kind of running away from his past there, right? He gets to the wilderness, and after a few years, he gets married, finds a girl there, gets married, starts having children, and he becomes a shepherd for his father-in-law, meaning the dad of the lady he married. Okay? So he's watching the flocks for his father-in-law. This is a guy who grew up in Egypt, who went to the best schools in Egypt, who had a great training, great intellect, lots of schooling, and lots of learning, and he's a shepherd out there in the wilderness. All right? Now, one day, he's out in the wilderness, and he sees something. What does he see? Anybody? You know this. Jonathan. He sees a burning bush. Let's go to our first slide. All right. Now he sees a burning bush. Now I want to tell you something that is maybe not so well known. It says in the Bible he saw a burning bush, but the bush was not being consumed, meaning it wasn't burning up. Whenever you set fire to something, usually it gets big, and then once it is consumed by the fire, it goes down, right? And it was not unusual to see plants and bushes and things like this out in the wilderness, in the desert, be on fire. It was not unusual to see that. You would see that every once in a while. The thing that was unusual is that the bush was burning and it just kept on burning. Well, all right. Moses is saying, I have never seen this before. Maybe I need to go take a closer look. So let's go to the next slide. Moses gets close to the burning bush, and then we're looking up here and not talking back there. Thank you. So Moses gets close to the burning bush, and then the bush starts talking. Now, do any of our trees talk to us? Do any of our bushes talk to us? No? Does the grass talk to you? When you lay down in the grass, does the grass talk to you? Maya, it doesn't talk to you? All right. Well, Moses gets up there, and the bush that wouldn't burn up starts talking to him. And I mean, it isn't just random talk. It's very specific. It calls him out by name. You can see what it says there. Moses, Moses, take off your sandals. You're standing on holy ground. All right. If the bush was talking to him, but it's not really the bush. We already established that plants don't talk to us, right? Then who was it? It was God in the bush, right? And Moses realized that it was God, because Moses was smart. He knew that plants don't talk. And that it had to have been a God thing for the bush to burn and not be consumed, not to burn up. And Moses listened to what God said and realized, if God is really here, then this area is holy because God is holy. And he just told me to take off my shoes because I'm standing on holy ground. Well, I have to tell you, Moses was maybe a little bit afraid. I think I would be. So let's go to our next slide. See? Look. See how he kicked off his sandals? Those are off towards the side of that picture. And he just laid down in front of that bush and worshiped the Lord. Because God said to, and also because he realized he was in a holy place right there. Isn't it amazing, Moses was thinking, how is it that God could be here in the wilderness? Moses was thinking, I'm pretty sure that God had forgotten all about me, especially after I killed that Egyptian and I ran away. But God had not forgotten Moses, had he? God knew exactly where Moses was the whole time, and he was waiting until exactly the right moment. Let's go to our next slide, Rachel. God said to Moses, I've seen the suffering of my people in Egypt, and I'm going to send you to lead them to freedom. So God was waiting for the right moment to reveal his plan to Moses and to let Moses know, Moses, I haven't forgotten you. I haven't abandoned you. I have a plan for you, and this is it. We're going to go rescue those people out of Egypt. That's pretty big stuff. If God has a plan for Moses like that, do you think he has a plan for me? Do you think he has a plan for you? And you at home? Do you think he has a plan for you? I think so. Let's go to our next slide. Now the power verse makes a little sense to us, doesn't it? God has said, I will never fail you. I will never forsake you or abandon you. We say forsake in the King James, but abandon you. In Hebrews 13:5 is where we find that verse, right? Okay, let's go to our next slide. God, are you there? That's the name of our lesson today. Do you ever feel like you don't know if God's there? Anybody ever feel like God's not there? There's some times that God feels like he's as close as your best friend, and there's other times that you just don't feel him at all. Sometimes you just wonder, God, are you there? Right? Here's what I want you to think about. Have any of you ever seen someone who has a piece of string tied around their finger? Has anybody ever seen that? Raise your hand if you've ever seen that. Jonathan, maybe you've seen that. Anybody else? It's old-fashioned. It really is. It's old-fashioned. What used to happen is that people would try and remember something that they needed to remember later on in the day or the week. And so they said, okay, Raul, I need to remember to give Raul his allowance. And I'm going to give it to him, but I need to remember. So I'm going to tie a string around my finger. And every time I look at that string that's tied around my finger, I'm going to be reminded that I have to pay Raul his allowance. That's what people would do, is they would tie a string around their finger, right? Now, that's old-fashioned now, right? If people want to be reminded of something, what do? Raul? They put it on their laptop, they put it on their phone, they just put a little reminder in their phone, and so when it comes time to remember, Jonathan, right? I mean, that sounds like the most reasonable, and some people have day timers, and they put all of the things they need to remember in those things so that they're reminded. But I mean, it doesn't seem like a piece of string around your finger is the kind of thing we do anymore, right? But the point is that you're trying to remember something, okay? Now, some things it's like not a good idea to forget, right? Like if you forget to go to the store on the way home, if your mom or dad or your husband or wife, is anybody here married in here? I'm looking right. Anybody here married? No? No. Oh, I see. There's one other person. Anyway, if your husband or your wife says, would you please stop at the store on the way home? We don't have any milk. Or they say, hey, would you please stop while you're out and get us some fast food, some Chick-fil-A. I know that's what Pastor Brent would be getting. Some Chick-fil-A, please, because we want to eat that for dinner tonight. And you forgot? I want to tell you, it's not going to be pretty when you get home and you forgot to bring home the Chick-fil-A. It's not going to be pretty, right? I have to tell you, one time I was on a trip with my parents, so I was young, I was about your age, and we had gone to visit my grandparents in Illinois. Okay, that's a state. Everybody heard of Illinois before? All right. My grandparents were ministers, preachers. They were on staff at this church. So it was Sunday morning. We all went to the church. My little sister went to Sunday school. I went to whatever class was available for me when I was that age. And we all went to church. And then church was over in the morning. And we all got together and we were going to go home and then go out to eat. So my grandparents got in their car. And I got in the car with my parents. And my grandparents had my sister in the car. And I was riding with my parents in the car. Or at least that's what we thought. I was in the car with my parents, and my parents said, well, your little sister is riding with your grandparents, right? Do you know what was happening? My grandparents were in their own car, and they said, well, Tim and his little sister, they're both riding with their parents, right? So we'll meet them at home. Nobody had gone to the Sunday school class to pick up my little sister. Everybody thought, they've got him. The grandparents thought, we've got him. And we thought, the grandparents got him. And my sister ended up being there all by herself. All the other kids got picked up, and there was no one to pick up my little sister. I think that she felt sad, abandoned, scared, right? You'd feel that way. And we felt terrible. Well, I didn't feel bad. I mean, it was my little sister, you know. But my parents felt bad, and so did my grandparents. They felt terrible. My grandparents are on staff there, and they forgot to pick up their granddaughter, right? All right. Well, let's go to the first slide after this. God hasn't forgotten me. In the midst of my sister being left at church, do you think God had forgotten her? Do you think God had lost track of her? You think God didn't know where she was? You think God was surprised that she got left behind? God knew exactly where she was. He had not forgotten her, and He does not forget us. Even when we feel that way, God has never forgotten us. He knows right where we were. He knew where Moses was in the wilderness, right? He knew right where he was, and he was waiting for Moses to be ready to accept the task that was at hand. He spoke to Moses out of that burning bush. He called Moses by name. It's not like the burning bush said, hey, you over there. Yeah, you're going to do. Yeah, I think I could use you. Come on over. No, he said, Moses. Moses. He called him by name. God calls you and me by name. He knows us. He knows exactly where we are. He has not forgotten us. Now, it's easy for you and me to think that God has forgotten us, and it's easy to be kind of like Moses. Remember, Moses had what? Killed a guy in Egypt, right? It's easy to think, well, God has forgotten me. God actually can't use me. God doesn't need me because I am a sinner. I do bad things. That's not how God works. Let's go to our next slide. God's presence makes the wilderness a holy place. Remember that God hadn't forgotten Moses, but also, when God shows up, wherever he shows up is holy. It's a hard thing for us to understand the holiness of God. It's something that I am still learning all the time about how holy God is and how to be like him as much as I can. I'm working on it. I fail often. Here's Moses. He was sad. He was lonely. He felt like he was outside of God's plan. And sometimes we feel like God has forgotten us and feel just like Moses was feeling in the wilderness, right? He was so far away. Moses was so far away from where he had started. And that's how we are sometimes. We feel like we're so far removed from where we should be or where we had started. But God shows up in the wilderness for Moses. He shows up in our lives and everything changes. What did God say to Moses? The first thing he said? Take off your shoes. You're on holy ground. I'm here. So take off your shoes. Pastor Brent, don't take your shoes off. You don't know that yet. Take off your shoes. This is holy ground. God is here. Take off your shoes. When he shows up, we need to realize, just like Moses did, that God is here. We need to worship him. He deserves it. He deserves every bit of our lives. He deserves our worship. He deserves our lives committed to him. Whenever God shows up, wherever he shows up, that place is holy. So after Moses had worshiped the Lord in that holy place, God revealed his plan. The plan to take Moses and use Moses to free the people out of Egypt, right? When you and I realize that God has shown up and we worship him, God's going to reveal himself to us and reveal his plans for us. He might reveal the long-term plan. He might be just revealing the plan for the next 5 minutes. The next 5 minutes to say, look, in the next 5 minutes, here's what we're going to do. All right? Let's go to our next slide. God still has a plan for your life. Now, we've all heard God has a plan for our life. This says God still has a plan for your life. This means that even if you think you've messed up, even if you think your life is gone down the drain, God still has a plan for your life. We just saw that with Moses. And God is going to reveal that to us. He didn't change his mind. God didn't change his mind about using Moses to set the people free. And look, God doesn't change his mind about you either. He's chosen you for a very specific purpose. Maybe you feel like, I'm just a kid. God can use me when I'm grown up. I'll wait till then. Every moment of your life is preordained by the Lord. He has a plan for you. He has something that he wants you to do. Tim, he has something that he wants you to do. Very specifically. Listen to it. He's going to speak to you about it. He'll speak to all of us about the plans that he has for us if we follow these simple steps. God reveals that he still has a plan for us. I don't want anyone here to feel that they are alone. You have the Lord for sure. You have Pastor Brent and me if you need to talk about anything, and we can reassure you about God and how he has a plan for your life. Even though it seems like you've been suffering for a long time and that you feel like you've been separated from the Lord for a long time, don't let that get you down. God has a plan. God is not going to be turned away. He's not going to be, I'm going to use a word called thwarted. You may not know what that word means, but it basically means defeated or diverted. God is going to have his will no matter what. So even if you feel like you're alone. You feel like you're undeserving. You feel like you have no plan. God's going to show it. He's going to reveal it, and he's going to implement it in your life, just like he did with Moses. Okay? Do me a favor. Let's bow our heads and close our eyes. And let's speak to the Lord. Lord, we come to you humbly today after seeing the story of Moses and how you seem to redeem him from the very pit of loneliness and despair. Some of us feel that sometimes, Lord. We feel like we're so separated from you that we can never be good enough. God, I'm so encouraged by how you dealt with Moses and how you revealed your plan to him once he recognized you and worshiped you. Father, I ask that you would cement these ideas in our hearts today, that we would recognize you and worship you and listen for you to reveal your plan to us. I just pray your blessings on each of these kids and those who are watching at home today. Thank you, dear Father. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I'm going to hand it over to the other guy. Okay? So, if you're ready, here he is.
Hello, all right. I'll be glad when we don't ever have to wear a mask ever again. I'll be glad. I'm doing it because I'm way up here.
When they guess, I'll bring the mic to them.
What?
On the offering results, when they guess, I'll bring the mic to them.
I have it right here.
I understand.
What? I can't hear. I need hearing aids, I think. I need some MP3 players. Yes. Okay. I didn't hear that either. So we're going to go ahead and go over our thing right now. We'll start with the girls. Pennies, 0 through 9. All right. You want to guess? 0 through 9? Yeah, right there.
I don't know.
Guess a number, 0 through 9.
Three?
What number?
3?
3. You are correct. 3. We have the paper, the thing back there. Yeah, she knows how to. You can do it from all the way back there. So it'll be this side. She was correct. Boys, 0 through 9. How many? Let's see, we were pennies. 0 through 9. Nobody's wanting to guess. Kurt, okay. Steve, 5? Nope, it was 1. So it was
Wait till I come to you with the mic.
3 to 1. All right, girls, we're going to do some dimes. Is that Caitlin back there or Kylie?
Hang on.
Oh, you weren't raising your hand, but guess 0 through 9. Guess a number 0 through 9.
4?
4, it was 8. Was good, guess. All right, boys, 0 through 9.
Wait till I come to you.
There's only one boy raising his hand, so, okay, Raul finally did.
1.
1. Nope, it was 8. So 83 cents to 81 cents so far. All right, girls, how many dollars did you bring? 0 through 9. Oh, Amy. Wait.
1?
1. Oh, that was close. It was 2. All right, boys. 0 through 9. How many dollars did you bring?
2.
2. It was 3. So it's $2.83 to $3.81. All right, girls, how many $10 bills did you get?
0.
0. No, that's not correct. Boys, how many $10 bills did you bring today?
1.
1 is correct. 13. And the girls got, so let's go ahead and see our offering results. Let's see this here. Whoa. That was so close. The boys did win, so what we're going to do is give the girls 13 points. And we're going to give the boys 14 because we round up. Yeah. Yeah, plus 10. All right. So we are, what is that? 3 points separating? All right, so our questions, our next slide is rewind, and we have our next slide. Here we go. All right, we started with the girls. We'll start with the boys first. All right, roll. Which one, A, B, or C? C? C, please. That's correct. All right, girls, let's see. What did Moses see while he was watching his flock? A, B, or C? Yes. Z? C. Okay. Now Zorro. C is correct. All right, boys. Is Kai even watching to do the camera, maybe? Because I've been moving around and Kai hasn't been watching. Oh, we're done. The time limit's up. Did you hit end on the thing? All right. Boys, all right. Who spoke from out of the bush? Out of the bush, out of the bush. Yes. God. Is that correct? Kylie thinks it was his mom. You don't think it was his mom? Moses, come get some chicken. All right, boys. Why did God tell Moses to take his shoes off? Because he likes feeling his toes in the sand. Boys. What? Girls? Oh, girls. I was trying to skip the girls. It's time.